What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Thursday, July 24th. We are done the quarterfinals of the women's VNL, and we are here to talk about it. My name is Everett. How we doing? How we feeling? Big shout out to everyone who joined me for the live streams or the live watch-alongs over the past couple of days. For those who don't know, I do live watch-alongs where I just live stream during the match. I talk shit, do a little commentary. People ask me questions. It's a lot of fun. But before we do another one of those, we're going to have to do this, talk about the 4 quarterfinals that we saw over the past couple of days. And I mean, it's pretty much what we expected. It is more or less what we expected. I'm sure many people would have had Turkey in there. We'll talk about that a little bit later as they lost their match to Japan today. But this is what we've got now. This is what we have now for our 2 semifinals. We have Italy and Poland on one side of the bracket and the always entertaining Brazil and Japan on the other. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to... I need to move this. Oh, okay, my bad. Never mind. First and foremost, we're going to talk about match number 1, the first quarterfinal that we saw yesterday morning. Italy on an absolute heater of a win streak, taking on the young American team. And now I know I had originally picked USA to finish 4th. I had hoped, my hope was this American team that, because I know back in the day that if like the host team, whoever, if they finished in the top 8, they would basically be ranked number 1. And I was hoping that that was going to be the case, and because I think if the USA would have been matched up against Poland, it would have been a better bet. But up against this Italy team, there was no bet. There was no chance at all. They were working so hard, and I do commend this American team for going out there and balls to the walls against Italy. They were working so hard just to get 3-domed by an Italian team who was kind of over it. Just clearly not there mentally and not executing at the level that they expect to be. Agonu was all right. Very all right is the best way that you can put Paola Agonu in this one. I mean, she did lead the match overall with 20 points. And I mean, the first set, she was devastating. Just all with tips, right? Just by tipping that ball, she was 17 for 37 overall with just a 27% efficiency. So not the best. Antropova, also off the bench, really, really good. 7 for 14 and 9 points. 9 points in just a double sub. Really, really good. Danesi and Farr as well down the middle with a pair of 8 points each. Six blocks total for Italy. As I said, though, it was really more about like this Italian team just executes at such a high level and they can kind of just turn it on. And I mean, we saw Italy absolutely dominate in the first set, and the US was actually really better in set number 2. That was when we saw set number 2 is when we saw Sarah Franklin really turn it up. Her numbers overall on the night were not fantastic. 7 for 26 with a 0% efficiency, hitting at 27%. However, there was a stretch in the second set where she was like 8 for 4 and attacking, and USA was kind of dictating the pace of play a little bit. And it was a little bit difficult overall for this American team. There's just so many discombobulations. They have such a hard time scoring on the left side. Even with Avery Skinner there, like she wasn't fantastic either. 11 for 32 with only a 19% efficiency. Passing, a really big issue for the United States. 20% perfect, 42% positive. That's just not going to cut it at this level. And yeah, it's clear that there's a lot of good pieces. You know, like Madison Skinner started this match really hot in the first set and then really cooled off in the second. She got pulled out. I really did like Stephanie Samity coming in, though, in the third. She's someone that I got to watch a little bit, well, like follow, I guess, a little bit in Japan this year, playing for Hitsumatsu Springs. Is that the team she was better? I don't know. I can't really remember. She was 6 for 17 coming in off the bench in the third and starting the fourth. Still only with a 24% efficiency. United States, 15% efficiency as a team. Their offense was just really, really predictable and not really connecting. Not really connecting at all, even with Jordan Poulter and Avery Skinner. So it's clear to me that there's a lot of work to be done with this American team. And now amongst the elite teams, they're the one team that has kind of like thrown their old team away, except for Serbia, but that's another conversation altogether. I don't even know if we can call them elite anymore. But yeah, amongst the elite teams, they're the team that doesn't have the least amount of returning players. And yeah, they're going to need some work. A lot of these players are going to need some work heading in, and we're really seeing that transition from NCAA to international ball being a bit of a struggle. I do want to commend Lexi Rodriguez, and as someone who doesn't really watch all that much of NCAA volleyball as a Canadian, it's really hard. It's all behind paywalls. You know, we need all these things. Like, I can only watch what I can find. I've never, not that I've never understood the hype, but it's just that, like, I've never got to properly watch Lexi Rodriguez, and I thought she was fantastic. They were really putting some pressure on here. She got 20 targets, which is second most on the team, over 71 on in total. So she's passing over 25% of the services, passing 55% positive and 45% perfect, right? Hands down the highest numbers on her team. And of course, classic volleyball world, we don't have real dig stats. I know you need to go to another page altogether to do that, and I'm not going to do that. So we can't really see, but I did think that she was a bit of a difference maker, for sure. No doubt about it. I am going to be doing a video ranking all of the teams, so we'll talk about the USA in that afterwards. It was just very clear from the start that this was Italy's game, and even in moments where, like, the US led, Italy would just turn it on. Like, their gameplay would just go unreal. So I do hope that we see a better Italy, though, because if they play like this against any of these teams, like if they played like this against Poland in the semifinals, it's donezo for Italy, for sure, no doubt about it. So yeah, touching back on the Italy a little bit, like, I know there's some chats there about, you know, the Antropova versus Agonu conversation. The reality is that this team wants Agonu. Right, the players wants the Agonu. Agonu is like one of the silent leaders, if not the silent leader, on this team. So Antropova is just gonna have to bide her time. Like, yeah, her numbers do look solid and do look a little bit better, but Agonu is Agonu, right? Yeah, that is all to be said. So Italy, as expected, riding now a 27-game winning streak at the international level. Apparently, that's the longest of all time. So congrats to them. They are going to move on to the semifinals to take on Poland. Now, the other game that we saw yesterday, of course, the curse continued of my watch-alongs going 5 sets, and that's exactly happened, and what was an absolute epic match between China and Poland. Big ups for China playing the way that they did and pushing that game. I was kind of rooting for them at the end, but Poland really pulled up their bootstraps and managed to figure things out. 25-17 for China, 25-20 for Poland, 25-19 for China, 25-19 for Poland, and then 15-12. Poland just had like a little bit more in the tank, and you could tell like a little bit more of a veteran presence. But 25 points for Stysiak. Magdalena leads the way offensively, 22 for 27. She did make 7 errors, though, which you'd like to see her tone that down just a little bit. I thought she was solid, not fantastic. Added 3 blocks as well. Yeah, she 23%, 7 errors and 3 blocks. Not great for Stysiak, and not very clutch down the sets. I thought down the stretch, I thought Czernianska was really good. She was 12 for 33 and was really aggressive, especially from the baseline. She did have 4 errors, but she also had 2 of their 5 aces, so that was good. But to me, I think the MVP that I would give this game to is Paulina Damaska. She came in off the bench in the third and really just brought in a different energy offensively. She was attacking balls aggressively, with power, with speed, looking for different shots, hitting sharp cross-court angles, and she just brought in a little bit of ruggedness, a little bit of a chip on her shoulder into this Polish team. And she was 8 for 21, so not fantastic. So 38% hitting, but a 33% efficiency on top of that, because she wasn't making any errors. She got blocked once, and that's about it. If you don't make that move to bring her in instead of Lisiak? No, not Lisiak. Who is it? Lukashik. I think that then, you know, Poland is not moving on. The other big move that they made, though they made 2, was Jurczyk was in for Greka in the middle. I've always loved Jurczyk. I think she's kind of like the the workhorse, like the Kokanovsky of the women's team. She's a little bit shorter, hits a really fast tempo ball, and then works really hard to get to the pins and get the balls closes. So she gets a lot of touches and is a hard worker there out there, and I love that. And then also a bit of a ballsy move here as they go out and start Grabka in the fifth instead of Wonerska, who was able to push them all throughout. And to be honest, I didn't really hate it. I thought that Grabka did a pretty good job overall for Poland. And you know what? At the end of the day, I was kind of pulling for China just the way that they played, but I do think Poland deserved to win this match. On the Chinese side of things, though, I don't know if there's one team that should be more proud of losing the way that they lost, just the way that they've played this tournament. You're led by a 16-year-old setter in Zhang. Wu Ting, as the Discord is starting to call her, is absolutely unreal. She just goes up and wails on ball in any situations, and they just run her on a good mix of outsides of the pin, and then they run her on that inside 33 loop as well. Then they just kind of move her around. They do the same thing with Zhuang, sorry. They release them out of the back row. I really like the way that China plays. They don't dink too much. They don't try to play that tippy game. I do think that if Gong was better, she's someone that I love watching play. She has such good vision. She was really good at the beginning of this match and then really tapered off. She was 10 for 34 with 15% efficiency. But she just makes veteran plays out there. If she's out there adding, even if she's into the 16, 17 point area, I think China wins this ultimately. But when you look at this young team, kind of and what they're able to do with Wu and Zhuang and Zhang as their setter, once again, she's not setting a super varied offense, but just setting the right people at the right time, delivering that ball, evenly, maybe a little too much evenly. Gong maybe doesn't need 34 attempts when she's only hitting at a 15% efficiency, but still, just a lot of good decisions from a 16-year-old setter. And I was a little questioning, they had no Diao for this tournament. How good is China's going to be? And the answer is they're still really damn good. No Li Yingying, no Zhu Ting, no. I mean, you could go down the list, Diao as their setter as well, and they really, really stepped up nicely. So this Chinese team, people are going to have to take them seriously. People are really going to have to take them seriously. No doubt about that. And if you don't, it's going to cost you. And it almost cost Poland in this one for sure. But at the end of the day, they move on in front of basically 10,000 fans, 9,976 at the Atlas Arena. So, and it just basically an hour and 59 of gameplay as well. So, overall, this was a really entertaining match. Hands down, this was my favorite match to watch of the of the four quarterfinals. Obviously, one of the five setters, but I just felt that they really limited their errors on either side. China only made 6 hitting errors. I mean, Poland's block was absolutely monstrous. They made 15 blocks in this match, and that was probably one of the biggest things. But collectively, they made 15 hitting errors on the day, right? And kept their aces down. So there's a lot of long rallies. It's a really, really entertaining match to watch. If you're going to pick one match to go back and watch from the quarterfinals, my suggestion would be, and you have no biases, of course, my suggestion would be Poland-China, for sure. Now, moving forward on to the matches that we had today. This one, the 5-setter was this morning. Of course, as always, I did the watch along. I did tell people, hey, you're here, you're on the watch along, might as well bet right now on the 5-setter. And Japan, I thought we were going to see a similar situation to what we had again from China, between Poland and China, where and we've seen that before, a number of times, thinking back to a bunch of those epic Japan-Brazil battles, which we're going to get another one of. I just thought that Japan was so good, and there was just such a chess battle all throughout the match. And Farhad Akbas, listening to him coach in the timeouts, and it was constantly talking about the different corridors of attack that they were looking for, and what's available and what's not available, and that was changing throughout the game too, depending on the different people who were coming in. You know, he's talking about, you know, how Jurczyk was able to close the box, or Karatasu, and Japan just plays such a free flowing style. I mean, you have four of their different attackers in double digits here. Mayu Ishikawa leads the way with 19. She was 17 for 41. Uncharacteristic 5 errors. Like, this is how you know the difference between these two games. Collectively, Poland and China made 15 attacking errors in yesterday's match. Today, Japan alone made 14, which is very, very uncharacteristic. Very, very uncharacteristic. And honestly, I think that's the big reason why Turkey was even in this match, to be perfectly blunt. I know that I don't have any Turkish fans in the chat right now because it's 7:30 p.m. Toronto time and they're all asleep. But yeah, if it wasn't for Japan's errors, I don't know if Turkey would have been in this match at all. But just the way, and Seki also, I didn't think set a fantastic game. Not up to her standard either. But they just stay so calm and so confident, and they're always so well organized. And I really like the new aggressive style of play that they're looking for. You know, and Akbash was talking about it, you know, like if that seam, that like it looks like they're really prioritizing like going for the seam first, going for that late inside blocker, and Yoshino is so good with it. But, you know, he's talking about like going low to the inside. He's talking about challenging the edges of the block, and that's what we see. The other side that I think where Japan really struggled is Yoshino Sato. And while she was really good and had 15 points in this match, she was 13 for 43 with a 2% efficiency, right? She made 5 hitting errors and got blocked 7 times. And that's also because they are targeting the shit out of her, right? There was 84 total targets in serve receive for Japan today. Yoshino had 40 of them, and she only got aced once. Not the best positive or perfect passive rating at only 12, but a 55% positive passive rating when you're passing basically 50% of the offense is really, really good. So they weren't necessarily in system. I mean, they were not in system at all comparatively to what Japan is. Japan is usually rocking about 21% in system off of a serve receive. Today they were at 13%. They're usually passing positive up in the 15% today, or 56, and now today was 50. So just an off game in a lot of ways for Japan, but they found their way to dig deep. And you know, they went up 2-1. It looked like they had all that momentum, and then Turkey and Vargas started to claw their way back and make things interesting. And you know, at the beginning of the fifth set, there was like an interesting situation where I forgot who hit it, and sorry, 2 seconds. My girlfriend is ordering us. Oh. I forgot. I don't know who hit it, but they hit a ball down the line. I think it was Yaprak, and there was a touch. And obviously, once the replay was shown, they saw the touch and they were trying to challenge it, but it was way past. And then Turkey was complaining, and then they got a card. And bro, they were up 3-1 at that point. Like they took the lead early, and then they just started to crumble. And this Turkish team can crumble. Like, they have like toddler style meltdowns where they just really start to crumble, and Japan is really not the team to be able to do that against, because they play so solid and they make you play so difficult overall. So yeah, we saw a really, really bad breakdown here from Turkey, especially in that fifth set. Like, they had all that momentum after winning the fourth 25-22. So it was really just a bad showing from Turkey in that fifth set. And in the fifth set, of all the players who would have going to be, it was Shimamura, who was outstanding for Japan, making blocks, getting kills in transition. And I think that to me is what's one of the special things about this Japanese team. And you know, like, yeah, like, you get into that fifth set and usually you hone in on your best player, but instead Shimamura had 3, Yoshikawa had 3, Wada had 3, and then Yoshino added another one, and they were way better in terms of their efficiency. Not their passing. Their passing was really off, which was weird for Japan, but their efficiency was much better. in the fifth at around 35%. So good job for Japan. Good job for Farhad Akbas, who, you know, there was a lot of people questioning him. Me being the number one guy, a lot of people in the Discord questioning him. And man, everyone's questioning, like, I don't think I even picked, I don't even think I picked Japan to get into the playoffs. Right? I didn't think they're going to be anything without Koga. She carried them so hard. But the way this team has been playing has been so entertaining. And there's also a lot of work to be done, like especially down the middle. Their blocking can get a lot better. Aerie could be fantastic. She's just missing on a few different things. On the Turkey side of things, really tough in the fifth set when Melissa Vargas goes 1 for 4 in attacking. They only had a 10% efficiency. With 6 for 21 overall, making 3 unforced errors. And like it was frustrating to watch because that's how they started the match with 3 unforced errors, and that's how they ended the match too, with 3 unforced errors in that fifth set, and just really not being there mentally and emotionally. Yaprak Erket was fantastic. I'm 100% like down to be in the church of Yaprak. She needs to be a starter. Like I think she has to be the starter. Like she was providing some left side options at 17 points, 14 for 32 as well too, 38% efficiency. That's not terrible at all. Also a couple of aces. Passing solid, decent too. Could be a little bit better, but you know, it's that second position because you start with Karakut. Her passing was terrible today. Just not good when she was out there in the first set. 0% perfect passing. So then they bring in Hande Baladin, who, in my opinion, is the reason that they won the second set. Because, and this is where like the one criticism that I have about Akbas's serving strategy was like Yaprak was tearing them up, and they didn't serve her at all in the second set, and instead they served Hande Baladin, and she passed 8 or 9 balls in the second. Was passing 89% perfect. Like they just let Yaprak swing away, and like I really don't understand this. Why, like if she's going to be their number one outlet, right? She's getting 32 attempts in attacking. Vargas is getting 37, so she's up there with Vargas, and yet you're only serving the ball at her 14 times. Like, and statistically, she's their worst passer as well too. Like I really just don't understand. But where it's frustrating on the left side of the court for Turkey has to be Hande Baladin, because passing wise great, defense also pretty good, attacking 0 for 17. She played 4 sets and was 0 for 17 in attacking. And you could see Santarelli just get so upset on the sideline anytime Osbe was setting her. So it was really just not a great game overall from Turkey. They, like, Santarelli, I kind of agree, some interesting decisions. You know, Orge was kind of struggling, and then they burned in Akash, and Akash was passing fantastic, 80% positive, 67% perfect. So that was good. There was balls that were getting launched at Orge right in her wheelhouse, missing them too. Like out of system balls where Yoshino or Mayu is way off the net, and they're like 3 meters off the net and just pounding it hard cross court right at Orge, and she's shanking it. Just a lot of miscues, I think, for this Turkish team, and they're going to have to figure some things out as well. I did think Kalac was a huge bright spot for me on this Turkish team as well. Her and Yaprak, no doubt about it. 7 blocks and another 8 touches. She works so hard. She works unbelievably hard going pin to pin. Maybe the hardest worker I've seen in a middle, and I really like that. I like that a lot. So a lot of work to be done here with this Turkish team. And yeah, just not looking like the team that we remember from 2023. Not at all. And more specifically, Vargas just isn't looking like that dominant player that we've seen as well either. And I mean, I know it's tough because we're seeing kind of the same thing with the Agonu as well. And it's been a long season and a long time for all of these players. And, you know, they're not going to get much time off before the World Championships either, of course. But just there's been a definite dip for Vargas, even in this club season as well too. And I'd like to see her regain her form just a little bit, but overall, mucho congratulations to Japan, because they were outstanding. Wrong one. Wrapping things up for the last match of the day. Actually, I'm going to go look at the comments because I can't see them. Japan's blocking has really improved, but there's still a lot of room to improve there with it. There's still a lot of absolutely to improve. So, yeah. Wrapping things up here, I'm not going to touch on this one. This one was hands down the most boring games. I full on fell asleep while watching it. That's honestly why this stream is a little bit late, because I was just really sleepy watching it and I wasn't on my game to get things ready. But Germany just really not up to the task against Brazil in this one. 25-19, 26-24, and 25-14. Yeah, you hated to see it for Germany, but they just weren't getting the job done. Alsmeyer led with 11 points, and she's the only one in double digits. Not really much to say. I just don't think that the way, especially the way this Brazilian team, that you have to be really, really good and really, really solid. And this German team pushed Brazil to 5 back in Rio in week 1. So you know that like Brazil was ready, and also they had Gabi too. Gabi was really, really good. 10 for 18. Rosa Maria led the way with 13 points. She was 13 for 27. I thought Diana was awesome down the middle as well too. Julia Kudus as well. Like she's hitting 7 for 6, 80% efficiency. Diana got another 5 blocks, 11 blocks for Brazil. In only 3 sets. They passed 61% positive, 29% perfect. They were just outstanding. Also 3 aces to only 3 errors in this one. So the only one who kind of struggled was Julia Bergman. But Julia Bergman is one of those players, like of the attackers, who's played pretty much the entire time. Because, you know, she played with Anna Cristina, and then Anna Cristina got injured, and now Gabi's in, and Julia Bergman's in as well. So Brazil looking really, really good. But now we're going to have that classic matchup between Brazil and Japan. We've seen it a few times. It's gonna go 5. If they've always gone 5, and yeah, I think that one's gonna be really good. I would really love to do a watch along for it. However, it's at 2 p.m. for me on a Saturday in the summer. The chances of me watching this live are pretty slim to none, because I live in a great city and volleyball doesn't dictate my life. Because every time Everett had, it's turned around and fucked me over. So, I don't think I'll be watching this one live. I think this might be something I have to watch on demand on Sunday morning. But I do think that this Brazil Japan game is going to be really, really good. Japan can put you in a lot of pressure. But Brazil plays that free flowing style as well too. I have to take Brazil in 5. Just the way that they've been playing, the way this team has been going. They've got their entire team there. Japan is starting to look tired. And yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for Japan to beat Brazil, and I think this game is going to go 5, and I think it's going to be tough for them down the stretch, because Turkey kind of showed the blueprint. You know, you just put a lot of pressure on Yoshino, and she's not going to break in passing, but her attacking is really gonna hurt. And yeah, they just don't have enough options down the middle. And like, to be honest with how good Diana and Julia Kudis are down in the middle as well too, that's just going to create a really big matchup. But Japan is still going to find a way to push it to 5, no doubt about it. I think they're going to dominate at least one of the sets too. In the other semifinal, I guess in the early semifinal, I may do a watch along for this, because this one is at 10 a.m. But we all know it's not going to be it's going to be the least fun one. Depends really on what Italian team shows up. That's the long and short of it, right? If Italy shows up at 80% or better, Poland doesn't stand a chance. I'm sorry, that's just the case of it right now. This Polish team without Volleyball doesn't run with Italy. Not this Italy anyways. But if the Italian team can be up there and Poland has their crowd behind them, that's when things get interesting, right? If Italy is just kind of like if Fagonu is making errors and they're just not looking motivated, that's when things are going to get interesting, and that's when things will probably go a little bit long. Ultimately, I think I'm calling 3-1 for Italy, and I think that may be generous. I'm going 3-2 Brazil, 3-1 for Italy, and I'm calling Italy is going to win in the finals. Okay, let's just go with that. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you learned a thing or two, if you wanted. But someone's retracting their messages in the chat. But yeah, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Appreciate everyone who's been tuning into the live watch-alongs as well. And I will see you on Saturday. Peace.